Solid. The Knicks advance, folks. The Knicks advance into the NBA Cup, the wild card match. Let's talk about it here. Episode 585 of the show. Let's go. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Let's get to it.
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
The Yankees are champions of baseball.
Shaking and baking right here on the neophyte.
You guys trying to close the show. She was doing a great job of feeding. That is over.
Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks? Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks?
Game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
All right. Well, the Knicks have advanced. They're officially in the NBA Cup. Group play is now complete. The Knicks at 4-1, 3-1. They advance with the win last night, a 115-91 win, which was important over the Charlotte Hornets at the Garden last night. And that was weird, right? It was a weird feeling. At the end of the game there, with the blowout, they had a gigantic lead, but there's less than 5 minutes to go in the game, and you had that tense feeling. I gotta say, I wasn't feeling it. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like the group play, the preliminary round that we just completed, I wasn't totally feeling it. But something's telling me, man, I have a feeling that these knockout rounds do the Knicks advance past the wild card. I guess the wild card's considered an elimination game too. It's a one and done. I have a feeling these knockout rounds are going to sell me. I don't know. And nothing crazy. I'm not going to go overboard. I'm not ever going to take this too serious. It's still going to be less than NBA's finals trophy, significantly less. But I think I might be a little more tense watching a bunch of Game 7s, essentially. I'm open to it. I'm at least open to trying to be into this and talk myself into it. Now, listen, I can't speak for the players, coaches, teams themselves, but you do keep hearing, from social media, from in the media, that, you keep hearing that these teams are excited about this and stuff. Personally, I've been seeing a lot of mixed reactions. As a Knicks fan, we've seen a lot of interviews where they ask them about that. It's judging by the comments from Josh Hart, Emmanuel Quickly a couple times, Tom Thibodeau. They seem to be more into just winning games, period. They're treating this as any other game, which is win the damn thing. They want to win bad. So they're just looking at it as win basketball. Around the league, I saw a Damian Lillard post-game interview, I don't know, about a week or two ago, where he was just so confused about it. I think there was a press conference where Bones Highland was being interviewed, and he was talking about it. He was just so confused and kind of just gave me the vibe that he didn't know what the hell was going on, and he didn't really care too much. I mean, how about the Miami-Milwaukee game last night? It's an important game regarding the Cup. Jimmy Butler sits. Butler sat out. And something tells me, that if that was a playoff game, do you think Butler's sitting that game? Right? Let's just keep it there. So all I'm saying is, like, I've not yet seen one interview, or I haven't heard a single comment yet where one individual is just like, yeah, I fucking love this thing. This means a lot. That's just for me. That's just, maybe it's out there and I've yet to come across that. If someone would like to send me a clip or an article of teams and players like buying all in on this, do it. Because I hear teams are fighting hard. I've heard around the league there's been some very competitive cup games, Knicks games even, right? Like, I don't know, man. I'm trying. So I want to see how the knockout round looks. I want to see what it looks like. I'm very intrigued to see this stage of the tournament. This could sell me. I'm trying. I'm really like, I'm on the cusp. Here's the thing about this NBA Cup shit now. The Knicks, someone brought this up on a podcast I was listening to, and I listened to too many podcasts, so I can't tell you which one it was, but the Knicks have to play Milwaukee an extra game now. Like, their schedule's going to be tougher. They have to play Milwaukee an extra game, and if they lose that game, they still have to play a consolation game versus a team that's been playing well, because that team's in the NBA Cup. And even if they win, they'll still have to face a team who's been playing well. I think if they win against Milwaukee, they have to face Boston or Indy, right? The winner of that game. So it's making their schedule a little tougher. And at a very average, underwhelming 10-7 start, that's not exactly what the Knicks maybe want right now. But it is kind of what I want in a way, right? I mean, we just spent a couple episodes really talking about this for a few minutes each. I want to see the Knicks start beating tougher competition because they're 2-6 against clubs above 500. You could talk about the Miami win. That was a signature one. But like outside that, the Cleveland win, the first of that back-to-back, I don't know. They haven't shown you much against top competition. But now they're going to have a prime chance beginning next week to beat some tough clubs. They win that. They win the Milwaukee game. They're officially in the tournament. They're officially going to be playing hoops in Vegas. That's going to be fun. They're going to go to Vegas if they win. Because I think the wild card games aren't in Vegas. It's at each team's court. And the Knicks are in Milwaukee next week. So, yeah. But let's talk about this game. Let's get to the specifics. Talk Knicks Hornets. We'll have some things to discuss after we summarize this game. So welcome to episode 585 of the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You're listening to episode 585 of BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA, Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion. If you want to follow us on social media, you know where to go there. You can find us at BD4 Pod on Instagram and Twitter. You can find me on Instagram at Rob J. Carbone as well. Our Facebook page, BD4. You can support the podcast on Venmo. If you are generous enough, help us out. Help the YouTube channel. Support the podcast if you want. You can Venmo at Robert-Carbone-JR-28. You can subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts. Listen to it there. Give us a 5-star rating and review. Spotify and YouTube, where you can watch the video format of the podcast. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube as well. Share this with your friends on social media. If you want to go to my our blog, well, www.bd4blog.com. The links to the different podcast platforms are up there, but of course, that's where we write our blog. So if you want to go to the BD4 website, bd4blog.com, where you can read different articles that we talk about the Knicks, Yankees, and some MMA. So with that all said, man, let's talk Knicks Hornets when we return from our first break. Stay with us here on the podcast, BD4, episode 585. Let's go.
We appreciate you sticking around and listening so far. When you have a chance, be sure to open YouTube to subscribe, like, and comment. And if you're already watching on YouTube, be sure to head over to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. We appreciate your feedback and are always looking to improve. Now, with that all said, let's get you back to the show.
Welcome back to episode 585 of the podcast. The Knicks sneak into the knockout round. 115-91 victory for the New York Knicks last night at MSG. Charlotte, team they absolutely needed to beat, came into this game even weaker without LaMelo Ball. Sprained his ankle, and the Knicks were fully healthy. The Knicks were sharp right out the gate. They were sharp early on both ends of the floor. RJ and Randle were active, Randle especially. They're playing great defense, blocks, creating turnovers, great transition play. They're moving the ball exceptionally well. They're aggressive at the three-point line, and they go up 29-16 after the first quarter. Second quarter comes, the bench for the Knicks starts making big impact in transition. Right? You got guys like Quickly coming in, but you had Dante, Hart, RJ. Big moments in the fast break. Randle and Mitch check back in. They put some more points up on the board. Then the Knicks get a bit sloppy. Some poor defense with Charlotte feasting a little bit from three. Couple shooters left open. Quickly and Dante kind of struggling from the field in the first half. And after two quarters, the Knicks head into the break up 53-44. Third quarter, a trend that we're seeing a little too often, and Tom Thibodeau has to figure this shit out. The Knicks come out of the gate very lazy and very lethargic once again. They're missing everything. They're extremely slow in transition. Charlotte was exploiting that. They're lazy on the boards in the half court, not closing out. And all of a sudden, Charlotte cuts the Knick lead down to 1 point. Fortunately, the Knicks get hot again late in the third quarter. Brunson gets it going. He comes through big, scoring, facilitating. Quickly's knocking down shots. Hart keeps it going. And Randle, of course, getting to the basket, getting to the line continuously. And so the Knicks went back up 80-66 after three quarters. And then they put the game to bed pretty early in the fourth. Great coast-to-coast transition play from the second unit. Dante knocks down a corner three for his first basket of the game. RJ, you see, finish a layup through contact, converts the M1 at the line. Josh Hart reaches his season high in points with the basket on the break. Charlotte calls a timeout. And the Knicks, from there, it was over. But they were all the starters were in. They were trying to run up the score for the tournament. A number of electric plays. Quickly was out there splashing threes. The Garden was going wild. Mitch with the putback dunks, and Brunson some crafty finishes. And eventually, they had enough they put up enough points, enough of a differential to get into the tournament with their 115-91 victory over Charlotte last night at the Garden. I want to talk about this defense because it's listen, we are 10 plus 7, 17 games. We're 17 games in, man. And this was my concern heading into the season. So I criticize them a lot. I want to be fair. This defense has stepped up, man. They have stepped up. Only 91 points against Charlotte last night. Or I'm sorry, Charlotte scored only 91 points last night. 42% from the field, 41% from two, which is horrible. And first and foremost, the Knicks last night bounced back tremendously on the boards from that debacle in Phoenix, against Phoenix. They won the glass 54-41. They were just doing a great job all night, preventing extra possessions, ending possessions, starting up the fast break. And you know, they have been even better on the glass this season than they've ever been under Tibbs. Even 2 years ago. They've been remarkable on the glass. Part of that is, you know, Mitchell Robinson has made a massive jump on the boards. You're getting a full season of Josh Hart. And you're replacing Obi Toppin, who's not a good rebounder, with Dante DiVincenzo, who's a good rebounder. They held it down in the paint last night very well. Charlotte shot just 50%, only 42 points in the paint. Mitchell Robinson, 6 blocks. 6 blocks. He was not just blocking shots, he was contesting and altering shots. He had 2 steals, 5 defensive rebounds, 10 total. He was rotating and helping, creating offense from defense. Just excellent down there. He was playing high. They had the Knicks. The Knicks had them. What? Man, I swear, sometimes I just it sounds like I have a stroke because I rushed my words. Thibodeau had the Knicks playing high off the pick and roll last night. Mitch was containing Rozier very well in penetration, but he was also doing an excellent job recovering too. He had a lot of great defensive stances last night. You know, great help defense in the first quarter. You see him rotate over to block Miller, who got by Brunson. Charlotte runs DHO. Mitch switches it, then rotates over to block Williams, who got by Randle. Brunson gets beat in pick and roll. Mitch deflects it for the steal. You know, another first quarter pick and roll where Mitch plays 2, then ends up blocking Rozier in penetration. Great second quarter transition defense where he blocked Williams again down low. Nice help defense in the third quarter where Hayward drives on RJ Barrett. Mitch blocks the right-handed layup, grabs the board, and the Knicks are out. He was just a gigantic reason for that defensive performance last night. A big reason why Charlotte had just 7 free throw attempts and only 23 attempts at the basket. Because we talk about all the time how with Mitch down there, offenses are just completely fearful of him. He forces opposing offenses to shoot more jumpers. And that's actually what I want to talk about. I want to talk about this defense as a whole on the year and what Tom Thibodeau is doing differently this year. The Knicks last season ran mostly drop coverage. That was their default pick and roll coverage, was to play Mitch in a drop. And with bad point of attack defenders out there last season, it was kind of tough to watch at times because the ball handler would blow by the perimeter defender out of pick and roll and just challenge Mitch or Ihart at the basket. Or he'd pull up and shoot with the space he was given off the drop. But this season, you're seeing a difference. You're seeing Tibbs be more versatile in his scheme. You're seeing him mix up coverages more this season. He's employing more hedges, more blitzes. He's bringing Mitch up high to the level. And because of that, the Knicks are now allowing less space to operate in pick and roll. You know, Mitch creates a lot of turnovers in the point of attack. And what I'm impressed with is he's been doing it efficiently by not fouling. He's using his length, his athleticism, his quick hands. But now he's got the high IQ as a 6-year vet. 6-year vet. So, yeah, I mean, it's helping them limit attempts at the basket because Mitch is up there making deflections, creating turnovers, altering offensive possessions. Tibbs has the Knicks switching more. Now, in no way am I calling the Knicks to switch everything defense now. They're still far from that. But definitely switching more than they were last season, where they hardly ever did. And what they're doing is, again, they're not switching everything, but they're switching on pick and rolls where they've got their bigger wings and bigs. right? They're switching their versatile wings and bigs onto pick and roll guards because they're all, Mitch, RJ, they're long, but they're also quick on their feet. So they're either doing a nice job defending in one-on-one, or because of that versatility, they force the offense to reset late in the shot clock and causes havoc. And with the Knicks playing high off pick and roll this year with their bigs, you're seeing the Knicks smalls and wings defend the basket a lot more often. And it's working because Knicks guards they've been very efficient on their rotations off ball. I mean, they're excellent at baiting the ball handler into making that pass to the roll man with enough space to land, but not much room to give after that. So what they're able to do is make that rotation, and they're able to wall up and smother the roll man this way. Right? Their ability to bait and rotate middle, leads to a lot of tie-ups, a lot of jump balls, a lot of charges drawn. We see this happen a lot with Jalen Brunson, right? And when the off-ball defender leaves his corner to cheat middle, another guard, often Dante or Josh Hart, they rotate over to the pass lanes just in case the rolling big tries to kick out. And if the Knicks have one of their guards as the weak side low man, again, we're seeing this a lot with Brunson, Hart, Quickly. Those guys will rotate over to the basket in the back line to deter drive off of a high pick and roll or a side pick and roll. So there's a lot. The team defense is just on point right now. And that's why I think the Knicks have a top 5 defense this year, honestly. Of course, Mitch is playing terrific, but it's the help in the back line from the guards. It's their ability to rotate over from their assignment to draw a charge or a tie up, and another guard rotating over to cover that assignment. Brunson specifically has taken significant steps upwards. He's taken a big leap. Last night he was playing some fabulous defense. There was one stance he had where he's helping on Terry Rozier as the secondary defender, but then he closes out hard to the corner to force an air ball. He was playing some good transition defense on Bridges, forced a miss at the basket. So him taking the next step has helped. Having full seasons of Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Hart is also helping, because they're allowing the Knicks to be very aggressive in the pass lanes, which cause those turnovers and deflections. Hart's in the lanes a ton. Dante is in the lanes a lot. He's a defender who loves to gamble. So he's very aggressive. Mitch, with those long arms, that wingspan, he's able to deflect and play the lanes. RJ has been in better shape with FIBA this past summer. He's moving much better defensively. That's a big thing. Like Brunson and RJ. Remember when that Randle, Brunson, RJ trio was a big defensive problem? Well, we talked about that a lot. That's one of the things we complained about many times last season. We also mentioned it a few times during some of our preseason and offseason episodes heading into this year. That was a concern of mine. How they're going to score points, but how much of a winning impact will they make, all three of them out there together starting, if their defense is so bad? Well, that's no longer an issue right now, because 2 of those guys have stepped up big time defensively. Brunson and RJ, we're getting a big leap from. That's one thing you could say about RJ is, while he's starting to come down to earth offensively, his defense remains very sharp. Both of them. They're getting around screens. RJ still got his ups and downs there, but they're rotating quicker. They have a plan out there. They know where they're going. So, yeah, I just want to credit the defense. The reason they're they're 5th in defensive rating. They're 1st in opponent points allowed. They've played very good defense. They limit shots at the basket. They grab rebounds. They close out hard. They rotate. Doing a great job. When we head to break, or when we get back from break, we're about to head to break real quick. We'll talk about the offense a little bit. Stay with us. We'll be right back here on BD4, episode 585.
You can also find us on social media. If you'd like, you can follow BD4 on Facebook, and we're at BD4Pod on both Instagram and Twitter. We appreciate you helping us grow more and more every day. Let's get back to it.
All right. Welcome back to the show. 115-91 win for the Knicks over the Charlotte Hornets last night. Yeah, man, listen, I thought the offense was good last night too. 115 points. They shot 47% at the field goal. Man, sometimes I'm telling you, man, sometimes I talk and I just sound like I have no idea what I'm talking about. Let's try that again. They shot 47% on their field goals. 40% on threes. And 90% at the fucking free throw line. Okay. 50 Jesus. Let's try one more time. They shot a 47-40-90 efficiency line. All right. Man, what am I, 5 years into podcasting and I still can't talk straight? I feel like it's gotten worse too. But yeah, I mean, the Knick offense is slowly starting to find its footing. You know, they're right outside the top 10. They're actually still top 10 in three-pointers this year. That's a new development that I absolutely love, and I beg is sustainable for them. You know, it's the three-point shooting, but along with that, it's the passing. Right, the Knicks are up in passes per game this season. They're down in cutting, but it doesn't seem like they're down in cutting because Dante cuts a lot. Hart cuts a little bit. Julius Randle has been doing more cutting this year, but they're definitely passing more. The shooting's improved. And what's great about the shooting being as good as it is, especially now that Brunson's become an animal from long range, is that it opens up the floor and it brings the defense out of the paint. You saw the Knicks run a horn set the other day. We talked about that. I think it was the other day versus Miami. We brought it up. And you also saw it again last night. Late first quarter, they run a horns action with Randle and Mitch screening. And Brunson on the ball. And, you know, Brunson's ability to knock down shots at a deeper range this year stretches the floor out, and it allows the Knicks to get more operating room. And you saw that because Charlotte had their defense playing all the way up on this action. And once Mitch rolled, the entire lane was wide open for him. So I think that's something I like to see more between the three of them. I'd like to see when the Knicks are running half-court offense, Brunson, Randle, and Mitch run a horns action. I feel like there's not much of a two-man game with Brunson and Randle, and there's not much of a two-man game, obviously, between Brunson and Mitch. We know about that. But I think you run that action more often. Sometimes you can roll Randle out of it. Other times you can roll Mitch out of it. It might lead to more chemistry between those guys and a few extra points a night. You know, get them running some two-man actions. Keep the defense on their feet. I think when you play teams, you know, when you're not playing a cup game and if you're playing a low-level team, it's a good night to experiment with something like that. So I think we should see it more. The ball movement was very good last night. They only had 21 assists, but I liked the passing. There was a lot of like around the horn passing early on in the first quarter, and that was because Randle was on, and you know his gravity and post up is very significant. So the defense collapses on him, and he's able to kick out. The Knicks were rewarding Mitchell Robinson early on. We keep seeing that a little more, right? Hold on. Brunson threw him a lob. Nice to see that. Doesn't happen often. Maybe getting a little better. But Randle, he's like one of the only Knicks who, him and RJ, who feature Mitch consistently. And Randle keeps finding him in the low post. There was a possession in the first quarter where Randle rewards Mitch after a nice defensive stance by telling him to post up, and he hits him on the block. Mitch ends up fumbling it, but I like the effort. I like the idea. I like how the Knicks are trying to feature Mitch. He deserves it. He really does deserve these touches with how hard he works on that end. On both ends. His motor is unmatched. So credit to the Knicks for doing that. Credit to Brunson, too. Last night, he only scored 12 points. Took just 9 field goal attempts. So he was still getting to his spots, scoring efficiently. He was 5 for 9, so it's not like he was off. But he was looking for his teammates. He had 7 assists on the night. Charlotte put a little bit of length on him, so he was taking a step back, letting Randle go to work, especially early on in the game. But come third quarter, again, when it was time for the Knicks to step it up, they were slow at halftime. He came through with some big baskets, some good passing. Playmaking was on point. I thought RJ Barrett passed the ball well last night. He was making quick reads. Randle, you saw more of that quickly Hartenstein two-man action where they run that out-of-bounds play where they love that play. They run that a lot where IQ inbounds it to Hartenstein, sprints to the corner, Hartenstein feeds him, sets the pin down, quickly shoots the three. You're seeing that a lot. So, yeah, I like the offense last night, 115 points. Now, a lot of that, again, was because they kept their foot on the gas, this being an elimination game, and they need the point differential. But it's good. It's good to see offense. Doing it against tougher half-court defense is a different story. But they did what they had to do last night. And when we return from our break, going to hand out game balls. Stay with us. We'll be right back here on BD4.
If you have time in the day or maybe just prefer old-fashioned reading over listening, then you can always follow along and subscribe to BD4 Blog by going to BD4blog.com. We're not on there as often, but when we do post, it's just as entertaining, opinionated, and passionate as we are on this podcast. Thank you so much. And let's keep on with the show.
Welcome back to the show. Episode 585 of the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. Let's hand out our first game ball.
Bing bang.
Let's go to Julius Randle, man. Julius Randle last night, 25 points, 20 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, no blocks, 4 turnovers, but he shot 53%, 8 of 15, I believe. He was 88% at the free throw line. He was a plus 27 on the night across 34 minutes against the Hornets. He was great. And on the year, he's got his numbers up to 20, 10, and 5. Right? The efficiency, hopefully that's coming around. He's shooting better lately. That's got to go up. Randle's more a guy who needs to be around 45% at the worst. And in cup games, if you care, in the 4 cup games he played, 19, 12, and 6 points, boards, assists. A plus 7 in those 4 games across 36 minutes. On the season, Julius Randle now has 2 Bing Bong game balls. That's his second that he earned last night. And yeah, I thought he played very well, man. I did. He kept it simple last night. Just, make quick decisions in the post. Again, his gravity opened up the perimeter because the defense collapsed. Right off the catch, they collapsed. He drew to the ball, kicked. I love that they featured him early and often. That's important. That's always been important. It was a key factor to the Knicks offense last year in the first quarter. Randle would always get going. That's how they got hot. When he's active and when he's in motion and aggressive, he's going to stay that way. So that's important to keep him going, keep Randle moving, keep him playing, play him downhill, get him in motion. That's Randle. And do it early. Now, is that ideal that he's got these necessities? No, but it helps him produce, and when he produces greatly, and the Knicks win. That's just how it is with him. I thought he was great, man. A monster on the glass last night. His first 2020 game of his career. Yeah, his defense was... I'll give him the fact that he played the passing lanes. A couple steals. But there were some moments, man. His closeouts lately have been brutal. My goodness. I don't want to start going down this rabbit hole again on a good night from Julius, but he was great. He was excellent last night. Big reason the Knicks won. The main reason the Knicks won. And let's go to the bench. Let's go to the bench and hand this one to Josh Hart. He gets the game ball from off the bench. Josh Hart, last night, 17 points, 6 boards, couple assists, a steal, a block, only 1 turnover. Shot 7 of 10 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, 100% at the line. He was 1 for 1. Plus 25 on the night. And he played 30 minutes. He was great against the Hornets. On the year, he's averaging 8, 6, and 3. 45% shooting from the field, 31% from 3, 82% at the line. Across 28 minutes a game. He's so far played in every game. And in NBA Cup play, he's averaging 11, 7, and 3. On 52% from the field, 33% from 3, and 100% at the line. That's in Cup play across all 4 games. And for him, too, he's got 2 Bing Bong game balls now on the season. Josh Hart, 2 game balls on the year. It was a big game for him because after making those comments that he did to the media about his role in the offense, it was no coincidence to me that he had his best game right after that. Right? He makes those comments. Maybe his teammates talk to him a bit, discuss it further after that, because he came out very aggressive in this game. He blocked a shot on Rozier. He was taking fadeaway jumpers in the mid-range. He drew a whistle on the attack early on. Very, very active on his closeouts, I noticed. Threw down a dunk in transition. And most importantly, which has been a hot topic since, the Miami series last year, Josh Hart took his open three-point looks. He took a few of them in the first quarter. He took another one in the third quarter. He went 2 for 3 overall in the night from 3. And so when Josh Hart shoots his open looks, defenses will close out as opposed to just ignoring him. Right? Because he was taking his open threes, Charlotte was closing out on him hard. And that allowed him to attack those closeouts and get into the paint. So that's where it starts for me. Be aggressive, and it's going to open up the rest of his game. Just take those open threes. Because if you don't, otherwise it's 4-on-5 in the half court because the defense is going to throw 2 on Brunson or whoever's, 1 pass away in the action. So it's much easier to play half-court offense when Hart is out there being aggressive. You don't have to hide him on the weak side away from the action. Just show you're a threat. Show you're a semi-threat. You just can't be acting like you're, Dwight Howard on the three-point line. If you're open a little bit, you got to shoot it, man. Show them. Make them respect you to a degree. And that's what he did last night. And I'm hoping that was the start that propels him. Because the Knicks need some wing help, man. Their wings have been a little underwhelming. All right, we talked a little bit about that last episode, how the Knicks need better production from their wings. And I want to kind of segue this into a conversation. And we're not going to spend long on this. Maybe on another day. But I want to talk about a particular player. Because a few days ago, Scott Perry, former Knicks executive, he was on a podcast with Mo and BJ, and basically he said that the Knicks need a wing. Mo, I think, suggested OG Anunoby. And I think Perry liked the idea. By the way, you could tell he responded. He was very into it. And I found that interesting because Perry was in the room last year when the Knicks in their front office had discussions about OG Anunoby, right? It also made me laugh because, Perry acknowledging that the Knicks need wing help. Well, he's also the one who drafted Obi over guys like Devin Vassell and Halliburton. I know Hallie's a point, but he's still a long player. Kevin Knox even goes back to that over Bridges. But no, they were talking a little bit about OG Anunoby. And I kind of want to talk about OG. I want to start by saying, in terms of fit, how OG Anunoby fits the Knicks, he is everything the Knicks need in terms of fit. He can score efficiently at all levels, right? He's a good finisher. He'll take the occasional mid-range, and he can knock down a couple three-point shots a night. He can play off the ball, and that would work very well with Brunson and RJ in the backcourt. That's another thing that would allow RJ to slide back down to his natural position. It would make the Knicks a little bit bigger. It maybe helps RJ Barrett rebound and defend a bit better, which OG Anunoby is a fantastic defensive player. He's versatile. He's got the size. He's a bigger wing. He's more of a 3-4 wing as opposed to a 2-3 wing, and we've discussed how I want a 3-4 wing. Right? He's 6'7" with a 7'2" wingspan. He's a switchable player. You could switch him off screens, and I just feel like he's a perfect fit for the Knicks. He's also an NBA champion, so you could make that two guys on this roster with that experience. Two winners. So, very intriguing fit-wise on the court. The business side of it gets a little tricky. Right? That's where things kind of change. What would an OG Anunoby cost to trade for? Because you think back to last year, Toronto wanted the Kings' ransom. I mean, it was a lot. I'm not comfortable giving up a bunch of picks for OG. If it's Grimes and maybe a first-round pick, single, you can maybe talk me into it for sure. Even if it's unprotected, dare I say. Because that still leaves picks on the table for the home run move. Right? And Grimes, I would be open to moving him for OG Anunoby. That would also clear up the logjam at guard. Maybe that helps you keep quickly. The thing is, you also have to pay OG Anunoby at the end of the season because he's due for a raise. He's got a player option in the summer. So there's also the point, it's like, why not just wait then? Right? OG Anunoby is making $72 million on his current deal. He will want a payday. So you're probably going to have to maneuver, and there's going to be a lot of moving parts. Fournier's contract does come off the books in 2024. But what if Quickly's asking for that $100 million? Right? You're going to have to move additional guys off to make room. So as intriguing as it sounds, I don't know. It's hard to say without any concrete, information right now. But one last thing that kind of makes all this trade stuff nonsense at the end of the day is that the Knicks in Toronto are not making a deal with each other anytime soon. with the whole lawsuit thing you got going on. The Knicks just dropped that lawsuit on them, with the whole theft of proprietary information. I think the Knicks are demanding $10 million for that. They got that case going on. So I don't think they're going to be doing business. I think if you're going after OG, it's got to be in free agency. But yeah, it's just something I thought I'd bring up because he's very intriguing. He would really, really be the perfect fit for this current Knicks team. It's just like, I don't see these two teams even on talking terms with what's going on law-wise. But that's it. A good win against the Hornets. Now you've got an even worse opponent in Detroit tomorrow night. So you got to go up there, smack the crap out of them. It's, I believe, another game at Madison Square Garden. So go beat them. There's no excuse to do anything but beat them by 20. So with that said, let's wrap this show up when we return from our last break with our trivia and our parlay. We're bringing back RJ's parlay. Get to that at the very end of the show tonight. Stay with us. Be right back. Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born. Welcome back to the show, episode 585. We're going to wrap this up with our trivia and our parlay. We're bringing back RJ's parlay in a second. But for our trivia in this episode, I'm asking you, which former Knicks wing made the 2012 All-Rookie team? All right, which former Knicks wing made the 2012 All-Rookie team? Let me know the answer wherever you can reach me one final time here in episode 585 of BD4, our NYY-NYK-MMA trivia question of the day. Which former Knicks wing made the 2012 All-Rookie team? All right. So with that said, let's wrap this thing up with RJ's parlay. We're bringing back RJ's parlay. It's been a bit. Let's get to last night's parlay. Welcome to RJ's parlay, where my degenerate self breaks down last night's big parlay. When I miss, it's not surprising. When I hit, I usually lose it all the next night because that's how this works. Welcome to RJ's parlay. On last night's parlay, on last night's ticket, we played a 6-pick same game parlay on the Knicks game. Plus 226 odds on this 6-picker. And as you can see, we did not cash. I had the Knicks plus 3.5 on the alternate spread. That obviously cashed. I had the over 209.5. That also, I believe, was successful. Let's see. Hey Siri, 115 plus 91. No, it wasn't. All right, so that wasn't successful. I failed on the Brunson, 30 plus points, rebounds, assists combined. I obviously crushed the Randle one, 30 plus points, rebounds, assists. Emmanuel Quickly, I had him for 18 plus points, rebounds, assists. And I had Mitchell Robinson for 8 plus rebounds. So I think I missed on the over. I missed on Brunson. And I think that's it. I think I got the other 4. But you have to get 6 out of 6 for a parlay to work, for it to cash. And I did not. So we lose. Because that's all we do. Not a shocker. Maybe next time. With that all said, I think that's all we had. I think that's all we have. Yeah, the Knicks beat the Hornets, and they advance into the knockout round. They will play a wild card game, single game, elimination game in Milwaukee next week. So, yeah, I'm trying to get into this thing, man. We'll see. I think I'm going to like it. I think I'll warm up to it. It's hard without the history to it. But I think this knockout round might do something for me. Might sell me. It might sell me. We'll see. All right. Appreciate you all tuning in. That's all we got. So I'll see you after the Detroit game, where we're talking Yankees. Jesus Christ. Oof. I've been thinking about Juan Soto all day. That's why. Knicks Pistons. We'll be talking about Knicks Pistons in the next show. Thank you. I'll see you guys later. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.
Hey there! If you stayed the entire way through, we thank you immensely for it. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and that you come back for the next episode real soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, download these episodes, and share them with your friends as well. BD4 is a 5-star podcast simply because of you. And we'd like to keep it that way. Have a wonderful day. Go Yankees and go Knicks.